Welcome into your Thursday edition of Locked On Leafs. I'm Mike DiStefano and David Morassutti. We're going to recap Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final, which saw former Maple Leaf Nazem Kadri play hero. Bit of a Cinderella finish to that game. It was a fantastic overtime thriller in Game 4 of the Cup Final, so we'll chat about that. We also got some culprits for some pretty weird ballots for the NHL Awards. They put out the awards, everybody who voted, everyone's votes, all public. So we got a chance to comb through them. There are some weird ones out there, but one in particular I think is the most egregious of them all. We'll get to that in a little bit. And then we're going to play a little bit of cosign, no sign, all that and more on today's edition of Locked On Leafs.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Leafs podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Leafs. I'm your host, Mike DiStefano from TSN 1050 Toronto Radio, also known as Al's brother on TSN's Overdrive and TSN 1050's Leafs Lunch. Joining me, it's my co-host, Dave Morassutti from Sportsnet, also a writer for the NHLPA. Locked On Leafs is a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast, so be sure to subscribe to us for free wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also now catch us up on the video platform on YouTube. Search up Locked On Leafs on YouTube. Dave, we got a bunch of stuff that we got to get into. We're going to recap Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final, where our guy, Nazem the Dream, Nazem Kadri, coming up clutch, winning Game 4 for his squad. Just a gutsy effort, coming back from that broken thumb. So we'll get into that. There are some egregious NHL Awards ballots. And one man in particular who's on my side for Michael Bunting that I go on to single out to pump my own tires because we have the same mind, apparently. Make sure I get to that. And then we're also going to play some cosign, no sign today. But let's get into this Cup Final, man, because, boy, was that ever an entertaining game. Like, that was awesome. Game 4. And I thought this was a swing game, too. Like, whoever won this game, to me, was going to win the Stanley Cup. And now I'm thinking that I'm going to have to buy you some limoncello, bro. I think I'm going to end up buying you some limoncello. I think that's what's going to end up happening because now Colorado's up 3-1 in the series thanks to Nazem Kadri, who scores the most unlikely goal scorer overtime winner. I think technically I called it, though. I did the Bucci overtime challenge, and I said Brandon Hagel, and as a joke, I said Nazem Kadri with like the shifty eyes. Hey, turned out to be true. But a storybook ending. And the funny part is, like, no one knew that this was in, right? Like, it was a weird play, but I didn't think people with broken thumbs, 2 weeks off of surgical, repairs on his thumb, were able to move pucks like that. Like, it was just an unbelievable play for Nazem Kadri to end that game. I think we have the visual of it. Yes, if we want to bring it up on video here for those who are watching it on YouTube. Did you think it was in right away? I didn't think it was in right away. I thought that either went wide or Vasilevsky stopped it. Like, there was no celebration, there was no goal horn, so I didn't know. And then you just kind of hear Chris Cuthbert saying, "Oh, I think it's in," and then they all started celebrating.
Was it Cuthbert or was it Simpson? I thought it was Craig Simpson that said it first.
Simpson.
Well, we'll hear it in a second here, but I thought Vasilevsky stopped it because first off, he was stopping everything in that overtime up until that point.
Yes, they both were. Both goaltenders had themselves a pretty good night. Kemper had to bounce back, and he bounced back in a big way. Made some solid stops, especially in the first period, keeping his team in it, being outshot 17-4. But here's the overtime winner, Nazem Kadri, playing hero. A bit of a Cinderella ending for a guy who finally worked his way to get into this game. People weren't even sure if he was going to play at all in the Cup Final, let alone come in as early as Game 4, and he's the one to win it. And here's the goal right now.
And it won't be icing. Lightning get a change, but now they're going to be caught. Here comes Kadri shooting.
It's in.
And it's in, or is it? Where is it? Does Vasilevsky have it?
No, it's in. It's in the back of the net.
And yes, it is a Nazem Kadri game-winning goal. And the Colorado Avalanche are on the cusp of the Cup.
Wow.
What a call.
That's a pretty good call. Pretty good call from CC, and good on good on. I guess Simpson was the one who called it first and said it was in. But like the play by Kadri, it was like that was a solid play. Splits the D, puts his shoulder down, gets past the defender Sergachev, and then is able to go backhand, forehand, and chip it past Andre Vasilevsky. Like that was just a tremendous goal by Kadri as well.
Yeah, no, and like he put it really in the only place that he could to get it in. And yeah, that was Sergachev he beat. Sergachev had to play a lot of minutes tonight, man.
He played over a half hour. Over a half
Yeah.
hour with a
With,
minute. He had 27 going into OT. So here, I'll double check right now while you talk.
Yeah, like he was like Tampa was just so gassed, and like I thought like it seemed like at some point like the Lightning were just gonna get a break after Colorado was just pouring it on in overtime there. But yeah, no, the move by Kadri, and like let's not forget this guy had surgery on his thumb.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I know I'm not an expert at playing hockey, but from my experience, your thumb is kind of important to shoot.
On the top hand, too. Like the top hand,
Yeah.
his dominant hand as well. For 32 minutes, 47 seconds, by the way, is how much time Sergachev played tonight, which led all players, I believe, in ice time, 32 minutes. I don't think anybody else. Nope, Cale Makar played 34 minutes and 43 seconds, Cale Makar. So those two leading the way.
Norris Trophy, Cale Makar.
Yep, exactly. Norris Trophy, Cale Makar.
You know when they say he put the puck on like the top shelf where the mom puts the cookies?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna show this picture here.
Literally
Could not have put that puck any higher in the net.
Yeah.
I can see why the referees did not see it go in because literally
it was sitting on top of the bar, essentially, like the inner bar. It's sitting on top of it. It's kind of pinned up against the top of the mesh, the twine, and the bar. So not only did you maybe not see it go in, but it also didn't come out. It didn't pop off the net.
No.
It didn't hit the ice afterward. It just went up there and stayed there. So no one actually knew where the puck was until eventually somebody came over and saw, hey, look,
I think it was. I mean, you saw the replay. I'm pretty sure it was the Avalanche defenseman or whoever it was. Kind of was telling the ref, "Hey, puck's right here."
That's a goal, my friend. That's a goal, and we won this game, and we're going back to Colorado with a 3-1 lead in the series. Yeah, that was a gutsy win, man. Colorado, I think, deserved to win that game. Like it was pretty close, pretty tight, but I think Colorado, for the most part, actually controlled a majority of that game. And even in the first period, like they were outshot 17-4, but it wasn't like they were getting jobbed. They just weren't able to get shots through. But if you look at the possession time, it was pretty even. I mean, they just Tampa did a better job of converting on their shot attempts, but the shot attempts were, I think, 19-17. So they were pretty even in terms of that. It was just Tampa was throwing their bodies in front of pucks, and I think they had 12 blocks in the first period alone. That's playoff hockey, dude. Like you had so many guys, like Kadri, obviously gutting through that injury. You had Nick Paul gutting through his injury. Anthony Cirelli left the game. You saw that one video. He couldn't even put his jersey on to come out for the third period in overtime and to get help from Big Rig. Meanwhile, he's out there playing extremely well. And, everybody's banged up a little bit, but it doesn't matter. The Stanley Cup's on the line, and you're going to do whatever it takes to try and get your team in the best position to win it. And tonight, I guess the decision to let Kadri play was the right call because he ended up with the game winner. So, and man, I think they're probably going to get it done in Denver on home ice. The couple be in the building. That's probably going to be motivation enough for them.
Yeah, I would think so. Funny enough, actually, the interesting stat. Somebody had asked Sportsnet stats. How many goalies have assisted on Cup final OT goals? Darcy Kemper was the first goalie to ever do it.
Wow, Darcy Kemper. Look at that. First goaltender. Yeah, I guess so. You would have got the secondary assist on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a quick it's quick for that person to pull up that stat. Whoever the hell these stats people, I swear, they somehow I don't know how they do it.
They memorize those stat packages like it's nobody's business.
Dude, there's no way they memorize it, but like it's just how they're able to find the answer so quickly is what amazes me so much. Like how they're able to look through the archives and quickly note like, oh no goaltender has ever gotten an assist on an OT game winner. It's kind of wild that they can get that done. The game ended what 25 minutes ago as of
Yeah.
the recording of this game, and they already have that answer in hand for those people. But the Stanley Cup, I'll be in the building on Friday. On Friday. I think we see it finish up on Friday, Dave. I think we do, and I think you'll be sipping on some limoncello by Saturday. Nice little Saturday night with some limoncello for you because you're gonna win this bet, buddy. You
With
called
the
it. You thought Colorado was gonna win it. I was not a believer. I thought Tampa was gonna three-peat. I no longer believe, man. Colorado's the real deal.
And I said they had to get it done in 5. If they win this on Friday, thank you very much for making me look a little bit better after that initial
Yeah,
prediction.
yeah. You
And with the way the
definitely.
Toronto weather's going, that limoncello is going to go down super smooth.
It will. It's gonna taste real good. And let's be honest, I'm gonna drink half of it with you, so it'll kind of be a bit of a shared thing when it comes to coming to downing that. It's just gonna be our Italian civic duty to down some limoncello together. But yeah, so congrats to Colorado. One more game to go. 3 down, 1 to go. We'll see what they can do Friday night. Maybe there'll be a Stanley Cup win Friday night in Colorado in front of their home fans at Ball Arena. Will be awesome. Would be awesome. All right. On the other side, we're going to take a look at some of the award ballots, some of the trash award ballots that we saw some of these people come out with. And one person in particular who voted Michael Bunting makes me feel very good about my opinion on Michael Bunting as the Calder winner. I'll tell you who that is on the other side. Also going to play some cosine, no sign. But first, Dave, how about a word from our show sponsor?
Of course, we got to talk about our friends over at Built Bar. From the people who invented healthy and tasty, come the latest gift to your taste buds. You've probably tried the amazing coconut brownie chunk Built Bar, but guess what? They're bringing them into the puffs zone. I guess the puff zone is what we'll call it. That's right. The coconut brownie chunk Built Bar flavor you love, and a deliciously chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. It's like a fluffy cloud of coconut brownie goodness. But stop drooling. Listen up, folks. They are good for you. Low calorie, low sugar, high protein, and all delicious. Coconut brownie chunk puffs are only here for a limited time. So make sure you go to built.com now to make sure you don't miss out. They are going to be gone fast because they taste amazing. Of course, as we've mentioned several times, all Built Bars are made with collagen proteins, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of healthy benefits. Eat something that tastes good and is good for you. So, make sure you go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 to get 50% off, and go and get yourself some of that coconut brownie chunk Built Puffs right now.
Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti with you. We're your hosts here at Locked On Leafs. Interesting note, actually, that I'm just reading here on Twitter. You know, scouting the refs on Twitter. They're an interesting little Twitter handle that they've got there. Apparently, refs earn $27,000 per round in the playoffs, regardless of how many games or overtimes they work. So whenever they go to OT, there's no overtime. They're just straight up paid this flat rate, which 27,000 for like 2 weeks worth of work ain't too shabby, I would say. Potentially even less if it goes 5 games. Not bad. Not bad for officials. I didn't realize that they were able to make that kind of cha-ching if they made it to the playoffs. Nice little bonus for them. All right, let's get into some of these award ballots, Dave. You said that you highlighted some of the ones for the Hart Trophy. So why don't you start with some of the ones that you thought were a little egregious and, you know, missed out on, you know, some players, whether it was not having McDavid on the ballot or Matthews on the ballot or one person who had both of those guys off of their ballot. Go over some of the ones that you thought just embarrassed the hockey writers.
So we all thought that maybe like we're trying to pinpoint where exactly who would think to not even have Auston Matthews in the top 3 of their ballot. So I actually highlighted
Top 5. There's didn't even have him on the top 5.
yeah. There is one person that did not even have Matthews in on their ballot in the top 5. There were quite a few people who had Auston Matthews 4th or 5th. So I'm going to read off some of them. We had Pat Hickey from the Montreal Gazette. We had Arpon Bazou from L'Athletic, because it is in French. We had Simon Olivier Lorange from La Presse, who had Auston Matthews 5th. Jean-François Chaumont from Le Journal de Montréal. We had Wayne Fish from the Bucks County Courier-Times. Did not have Auston Matthews in his top 3.
How many guys didn't have Auston Matthews in their top 3?
One. So okay, just not even the top 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So that was it. Just those 5 guys didn't have him in the top 3.
Yeah, and 2 did not have him on the ballot. One of them being Guillaume Lefrançois, and the other one was Seth
Rohrenberg.
Seth
Rohrenberg. This guy's ballot selection this year. I mean, I don't want to dump on these guys so much, but I just want to know where he's coming from with these ballots, because this is the one that he had in that he sent in. Like, he literally wrote this down and officially sent it in, thinking to himself, yep, this makes sense. These are the 5 guys who I believe should be considered the MVPs of the league. Coming in at number 1, he voted for Kirill Kaprizov. Number 2, Roman Josi. Number 3, Igor Shesterkin. Number 4, Jonathan Huberdeau. And number 5, not Auston Matthews, not Connor McDavid, but JT Miller. Coming in at number 5. This man did not have McDavid or Matthews on his ballot at all. How? How? I just want to know what was your criteria, Seth? What was the criteria there for how neither your Art Ross winner, leading point scorer, and leading goal scorer was left off your ballot?
And this guy actually retweeted the Auston Matthews, like on his Twitter timeline, has the Auston Matthews winning the Hart on his timeline. Like, dude, that was no thanks to you.
No.
Like, yeah. And you notice that, and to take a little bit of pressure off Seth, you notice I put a little bit of an emphasis on the other names that did not even have Auston Matthews in their top 3, that they're from a certain region in Canada.
Yeah, I did. And who put this out? Yeah, Jeff Fayette. I don't know if you have that tweet or not, or if you can find it, but Jeff Fayette, he was interested to see how the Toronto region, the Montreal region, and the Edmonton regions all voted for the Hart Trophy. And Toronto, I think it was like 9-1 or whatever it was, voted for 9 of the 10 voted for Auston Matthews. But in Montreal, he got 1 first place vote out of all of the Montreal voters, which is what, 8 of them. So only 1 of 8 voted him as the MVP. Only 2 of them said that there was at least top 2. They had Huberdeau. Huberdeau led all Montreal or Quebec writers with 3 first place votes and 3 second place votes. He had a good season, don't get me wrong, but you're gonna tell me that guy is deserving of 6 top 2 votes and Auston Matthews is only deserving of 2? No.
Like,
No.
I know sometimes there tends to be a bit of a bias towards the French, but let's be real here. Like, are we like, I think the one person from the Montreal group that did have Matthews out was Eric Engels from Sportsnet. Shout out to my boy EE. Like, I understand that Jonathan Huberdeau had a pretty good season, but would you say he was the MVP of the Florida Panthers?
Maybe. Like, him, Barkov, I guess like one of those two. You
Yeah.
could kind of flip a coin.
It's just, I
Well,
think I'm also just wondering. Some people think of the trophy in one respect, and others think of it in a totally different. This was the Taylor Hall Nathan McKinnon debate. Remember, like Taylor Hall was very valuable to the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, well, he had like 30 more points than the next guy on
Yeah.
his team and put the team on his back and willed him to the playoffs, which is the definition of most valuable to his team. So
Yeah.
by definition, that made a lot of sense. But Huberdeau, that was a President's Trophy team. They were really good. They
Yeah.
were awesome. It's not like he willed them anywhere. And, I know he had a great season, obviously. Had, I think, like 109 points, 112 points, something like that, which is terrific. But I don't know, man. To put him ahead of McDavid and Auston Matthews, a little questionable. I think the French Canadian bias came through there with Jonathan Huberdeau and the 10 Montreal representatives of the Montreal chapter in the Professional Hockey Writers Association. Two other ones quickly that I want to note. So, Fluto Shinzawa, who writes for, I believe he's with The Athletic for Boston, classically is the one who voted for Charlie McAvoy as his Norris winner. I don't know why, but he did. But going back to Seth Rorenberg, his MVP vote was the most egregious. But you want to hear what his Selke ballot was?
Uh-oh.
Elias Lindholm, Anthony Cirelli,
Okay.
Michael Backlund, David Kampf, and then Patrice Bergeron. I know. Like, what? Really? You're going to put Bergeron 5th on your Selke ballot? They're going to change it to the Bergeron Award once that guy officially hangs him up, which could be this year,
Does
realistically.
this guy not realize what the team he covers for, and the fact that he's gonna have to like hear about this now?
No. That wasn't Fluto. It was Seth
sorry.
Rorenberg,
Sorry, Seth. Okay,
who's out of Pittsburgh.
Seth. I understand that maybe you're not a big fan of the Boston Bruins, but Patrice Bergeron, as Mike said, they're gonna name this award after this guy. Like, there's no doubting.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'd also do it just to be different and not to follow how you have. There's always gonna be that one guy. Everybody else, orders a nice caramel sundae, and then the one guy is gonna be like, you know what? I want a hot fudge, just because.
Just to be an S disturber. Seems like that's what Rorenberg did with his ballots this year. Not having, what do you think is more egregious? Having Bergeron 5th on your Selke, or not having McDavid or Auston Matthews in your Hart ballot?
I just have no explanation, really.
They're both pretty egregious. It's what. Let us know below which one is more egregious. Probably McDavid and Matthews, but then again, Bergeron's a lock for the Selke. So maybe it's even Bergeron now that I think about it, which is saying something because that's McDavid and Matthews. All right, before we get to cosign no sign, I gotta gloat a little bit. Do you know the one person I'm referring to? One of the 7 voters who named Michael Bunting as their Calder winner. Are you aware of the person? You don't need to say it yet, but just tell me if you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. So Michael Bunting, 7 people voted for this guy. Only 7 out of 200 professional hockey writers voted Michael Bunting as their Calder winner. Unfortunately, I did not have a vote, but it clearly would have been Michael Bunting because he is certainly most deserving. And one man in particular who agrees with me, and I think that realistically he should count for 212 votes himself, and I picked that number strategically, David. Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky said Michael Bunting should have been the Calder Trophy winner. And if the great one believes that Michael Bunting should have won, you should have Mo Sider should just say, you know what? Take it. Take it, Michael. Take it, because you should have it. Wayne Gretzky. Me and Wayne Gretzky on the same wavelength there, pal.
Wayne Gretzky also had Leon Draisaitl. I think he was one of the few that had Leon Draisaitl on his ballot for the Hart.
Yeah, there was a few people that had him like top 5 in 4th or 5th or something like that.
I
Which,
will-
the guy had over 50 goals.
Yeah,
Not too surprising.
I will say, like, Wayne has had some pretty good takes, and he knows this isn't and look, Wayne is probably the farthest you'll get from bias towards the Leafs,
Right.
right? Because he didn't even have Auston Matthews as number 1 on his Hart Trophy. He had Connor McDavid.
Of course he had Connor McDavid. Oilers alum. 100% he was going to have Connor McDavid up there. But Michael Bunting. See, and who am I to argue with Wayne Gretzky? You know what I mean? Who am I to argue with that guy?
You know
Wayne
what?
knows his stuff.
They should make a Wayne Gretzky award, and they should give it to Michael Bunting.
I agree.
That's
The Wayne Gretzky Rookie Voters Award, and it's going to go to Michael Bunting. Just had to let people know that, look, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy, because Wayne Gretzky also believed that Michael Bunting should have won that award. Unfortunately, the rest of these idiots who voted did not. All right. What's that?
Morons.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Morons.
All of them. Every single one of them. You're right. All of them. Nah, just kidding. A lot of them are good friends of mine and colleagues.
Yeah,
of
I was
mine.
gonna say we work
Yours.
we work with quite a few of them, so
Yeah, lots of them are good friends and colleagues. So you're not idiots, but you were wrong. You were wrong. And me and Wayne both want you to know that. All right, David, let's take one more quick break. When we get back, we'll play some Cosign, No Sign, one of our favorite segments that we like to do weekly on the show. We'll do that on the other side. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. I'm Mike DiStefano. Got Dave Morassutti with me. We're your hosts here at Locked On Leafs. And hey, if you guys haven't joined the Discord yet, make sure you go and join that, because we are popping off on that thing throughout the day, throughout games, off days. Honestly, it's just a great little community and a great chat room. We're going to put it down in the notes section down below. We've had a few people actually join recently, which is nice to see. To see the community growing through us telling you about it and putting it in the notes section and whatnot. So make sure that you're not missing out. If you are a diehard Leafs fan, which, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast well after the Leafs have been eliminated, you probably are. You definitely want to be involved in our Discord community, on our Discord channel, Locked On Leafs. All right, so let's get to some Cosign, No Sign, Dave. It's one of our favorite games that we like to play here. If you're new to the podcast, first of all, thank you so much for giving us a try, and hopefully you enjoy and subscribe. And if you're not new to the podcast, you know how this game goes. But if you are new, the way that it works is Dave and I, we're going to make a statement to each other. If we agree with the statement, we're going to co-sign it. If we disagree, we're going to no-sign it. So that's how the game goes. Dave, we'll let you go first.
all right. Goaltending has been the number 1 topic lately with the Leafs.
Oh, you got a goalie question too.
We've had many talks about how the Leafs could potentially look to solve that problem. So mine is the Leafs will make a trade for a goaltender, not go for a free agent this offseason.
That's so funny, because one of my cosigns was the Leafs starting goalie of next season will come to Toronto via a trade, not free agency.
This is how you guys know that we do not plan. We don't conspire with each other. This is totally not. We just bring these up. So, Mike, I'm co-signing yours.
Yeah, I'm gonna co-sign it too, man. I am gonna co-sign it too, just because there's not much out there in free agency. Like, there really isn't. Ville Husso, I guess, is probably like the top target that you can go after. Marc-Andre Fleury would be a good option, but I'm just not sold that he wants to come here. So what else is there outside of that? Darcy Kemper, I suppose, but what's that going to cost him after he leads Colorado to a championship? I don't know if that's a number that Toronto's going to be comfortable paying. So I think they're going to have to probably hit up the trade market and try and find a goaltender via the trade market. I don't know who that could be. There's a couple of guys who we've talked about in the past who could potentially do it. I know John Gibson is a name that everybody likes to throw out there. Potentially a Simeon Varlamov is another guy out on the island. But ultimately, I believe, just like you do, that the Leafs starting goaltender next year probably going to be a trade addition as opposed to one of these guys out in free agency.
Yeah, I would say that I think there's a lot of teams that are going to be making some sweeping changes. We're starting to hear a little bit more about the Jets. It's very interesting to hear. I don't know if you saw Elliot Friedman's report that Dubois could look to go and hit free agency in 2024. He's an RFA this season, but then he's a UFA after next year. I find that quite interesting because in 2024 they have quite a few players that are expiring. Connor Hellebuck, Blake Wheeler, Mark Scheifele. We brought Connor Hellebuck's name before. The likelihood that Connor Hellebuck leaves is quite unlikely just because I don't think the Jets are ready to throw in the towel. I think they want to do a bit of a retool. So I think something to consider there. I think there's going to be quite a few teams making moves this offseason. All right. You want to go with your second one or you want me to go?
You can go.
Okie dokes. Mine is going to look at a couple of players on the Colorado Avalanche who could be looking for big paydays. And one I have is Nazem Kadri. Oh, I had this before he even scored the OT winner tonight. And mine was just that Nazem Kadri gets himself a 7-year deal in free agency.
A 7-year deal. He's what, 32?
So he is
Nazem Kadri. Let's see how old he is because that might 31.
going to be 32 in the season.
He'll be 32 by league year, which means a contract that's going to take him till 39 years old. I'm going to no sign it. I don't think that he gets 7. I don't think he gets 7 years.
So what are you thinking? 5 max?
Probably 4 to 5 year. Yeah, 4 or 5 year range. Unless he gets into a situation where he's like, give me 7 years. I'll lock in here long term. And then kind of like what we've seen that like the actual dollars will fall off late in the contract. And then it'll just be a way to kind of make the AAV a little shorter. So it's like, okay, I'll sign a 7-year deal, but it'll be at, 7 years at 35 million, right? But it'll pay you 7 million for the first 5 years, and then it'll or 7 million for the first 4 years, and then it'll drop off after that, or something to that effect. You know what I mean? But 7 years, I don't think that we'll see 7 years from a guy who's going to be 32 and he'll be 39 when that contract is up. I don't see it. So I'm gonna no sign that one, my friend. I also had a Nazem Kadri one, but I'm gonna shift it on the fly because, well, we need to come up with some different topics. But it's gonna be basically a similar discussion, but about Val Nichushkin. Valerie Nichushkin will sign for $5+ million AAV this offseason.
I'm going to co-sign it. He was a monster in overtime. Yeah, I think he was on the ice for about 4 minutes of that overtime, and he had like 6 scoring chances. I read a tweet that said that. Like, this guy, like, what was Dallas? I mean, like, it just goes to show that there's something in the water in Dallas because this guy, he couldn't get out of there quick enough. They couldn't get rid of him easily. Like, they got rid of him easily. And he comes to Colorado, and he's going to garner some attention for the Conn Smythe, I think, for the way he's played in the Stanley Cup final. Whether I think he wins it, probably unlikely, but he's up there for them. He's had one of those playoffs that one team is going to look and says, you know what, this is a guy that we could use to help us in the playoffs. Only very few teams will actually be able to pay that $5 million to him for that type of role that he's going to play. But we've seen time and time again, teams will pay for that type of player. Whether they'll actually play the similar role that like a Nichushkin played, we'll see. But yeah, I could see him striking a pretty nice deal in free agency.
I have an impromptu cosign, no sign, David. Cosign, no sign. Nazem Kadri's game winner standing as a goal, being confirmed, not being challenged or anything like that, is payback to the Tampa Bay Lightning for what we saw happen back in 2004 when the Calgary Flames should have won the Stanley Cup. If you would like to explain what I'm talking about, because obviously,
as we were recording this, John Cooper just threw down a gauntlet and said, I do not want to talk about the goal and he literally was on the podium for 2 minutes.
one question, 2
Yeah.
minutes long, out.
He was like, that goal should not have counted. We will talk more about it tomorrow. And everyone's like, what? What do you mean it shouldn't have counted? Well, there are pictures of the actual score sheet. They have 7 members. Well, 7 members of the Colorado Avalanche, if you include Darcy Kemper. 6 players. I don't know if you know this, but the Colorado Avalanche didn't pull their goalie. As you can tell, Darcy Kemper was in the net. So you can't actually have 6 players on the ice. And it's been confirmed with screenshots now. So, yeah, the Tampa Bay Lightning got a bit job there because there were 6 players on the ice. And Mike's bringing up the past where the Tampa Bay Lightning have kind of gone away with some shenanigans. I mean, they did against the Leafs. Let's not forget Game 6. Braden Point should never have been allowed on the ice with the chin strap undone. He was.
Yeah, wasn't that debunked? I thought that was debunked. But anyways, I get your point. I'm a firm believer that the Calgary Flames should be the 2004 Stanley Cup champions. Obviously, that didn't happen, but that goal went in. Marty Jelena scored the game winner on Nikolai Habibulin, and they should have won. Didn't happen. And so is this like payback for the hockey gods? Back in the Stanley Cup final, back at home in Tampa, is this payback? I guess allowing this goal to stand. It was a missed call. It's not like they purposely said, we're going to let it go. Although the whistles did go away for this entire back half.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If Tampa's going to think that they got jobbed by the refs, I could look at a few times where, apparently hooking is no longer a thing. Slashing isn't a thing.
I'll say this, though. Based on that play, right? Like, it was just a straight-up rush. Went straight from Kemper to, I can't remember who had it wasn't Byram. It was, who would have been with Byram? Maybe Johnson. Whoever gave the puck up. Whoever gets the primary assist. I can't recall at this moment. But, like, it was such a bang, bang, bang play that, like, the extra 3 people on the ice at the time had no bearing on the play. So, regardless, I'm assuming that it still would have counted and they still would have scored that goal. But Tampa does have a point. They definitely have a point. But like I said, this is the hockey god saying, oh, yeah, you want us to relinquish that goal? Relinquish your cup in 2004, pal. I'm sure you won't. So how about you shut up your mouth as a you?
Buffalo Sabres fans is just like, we want to talk about goals that should have counted or not counted.
Exactly.
Put in the crease.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Buffalo, Dallas. Yeah, 100%. Boy, that's a brutal one. That is a brutal one, man. Oh my God, that's so bad.
Lindy Ruff.
Today, well, at least in today's game, like you can have your feet in the crease, I guess, as long as for certain circumstances. Back then, you could not, right? Like that was the rule. You could not have your foot in the crease at all. It was pretty blatantly obvious that foot was it was right in the middle of the crease.
Yeah.
And the fact that didn't, that counted was just so egregious. Worse than any of these two that we're talking about. But yeah, so that's the update that we were just given kind of in real time, that apparently Colorado had 6 men on the ice and that goal should not have counted. Should have been a too many men on the ice call. And instead it went undetected. Nazem Kadri scored the game winner, and Colorado now up 3-1, heading back to Denver and a chance to win the Stanley Cup at home in Game 5. I would imagine Tampa's quite pissed. Anyways, your next one, please, David. Or did you already give me 2? Yeah, go ahead. Your next one.
I mean, now it's kind of everything's kind of just thrown into a bit of a wrench there. But mine was going to be about the Stanley Cup Finals and about the Colorado Avalanche and Darcy Kemper. Does Darcy Kemper end this with a shutout in Game 5? Do they give it a little bit of the extra? Nope.
No sign. No sign. Not a chance. That guy gets a shutout in Game 5.
He did in Game 1. He did in Game 2.
Yeah, but Tampa played so bad in that, like so bad. I with Tampa, their backs up against the wall, like that's when they tend to play their best. You know what I mean? There's not a chance in my mind that that they don't score at least one. They may not win the game. Kemper may be able to do enough to win the game, but they'll score at least one goal. One will get past him, if not multiple. Yeah, gonna no sign that one, pal. Last one for you, Dave. Auston Matthews is the gloat, the greatest Leaf of all time.
I'm still not there yet. I'm close. The trophies, we kind of already, when we had the discussion back not too long, I think back when we did the Athletic fan survey, it's kind of in the line that I expected him to win a trophy or two. Yes, he is the first Leaf to win the Hart Trophy since 1955. It's pretty decent accomplishment. But I think a lot of people would agree with me that they want to see him. They want to see him perform when all the marbles are down. You know, if you look at the guys that most would consider the gloat, they came through in the playoffs in some regard. Yeah, they didn't win a Stanley Cup, but they were like, I think to like the '93. If you're a big Wendell Clark guy, he showed up in the playoffs. Doug Gilmour, Matt Sundin during my time. So I'm close. He's probably like top 3 for sure. Just needs a little. He needs a little more. Even Dave Keon. I think I don't like. I mean, he didn't play when we were live, but I watched. I read a lot about what he did. That guy.
Well, he was the number one Leaf when they did like the 100, right? Like he was the top Leaf of all time. He is, as of now, considered the gloat. But I think you're right in saying that he hasn't got that yet because still need to have that playoff success and longevity. You need to have a little bit more than just one season. Was this the greatest individual season in Leafs history? I would agree with that. I'd certainly agree with that. He's the only guy who's ever got 60 goals in the Leafs history. Only guy to ever win a Ted Lindsay, and the first since 1955 to win a Hart. The first time since expansion that he's won that he's a Leaf has been able to win a Hart. So absolutely. But in order to be the greatest of all time, I think we need to see some playoff success and some longevity. And he's got to stick around for more than an additional 2 years also.
Yeah, he's got to stick around for more than 7 years.
Well, exactly. Yeah, so.
Right. Matt Sundin was here for a while. Dave Keon, even though he had those issues with Harold Ballard, still stuck around for as long as he did. So yeah, I would say that he had the best season ever by a Leaf. I think Doug Gilmour had probably the second best season now. So I would say that he's close, guys, but he's not there yet.
All right. Well, that does it for Cosign, No Sign, and that does it for us today, Dave. Fun show, as always. And I'd like to thank everyone for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcast platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti. Go ahead, leave a like on this video if you're watching on YouTube, a comment down below as well. And if you're listening on iTunes, really would appreciate it if you could leave a rating and a review. That would help us a lot with the algorithms and stuff. I'm not going to act like I know exactly how it all works, but I know that the more comments, likes, tweets, retweets, shares, all that stuff definitely is good for the Locked On Leafs podcast. And also join our Discord as well and get in on the community. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On.